Okay, boys, we're back. Think Strong Pod. We're back with a bang. Very special guest, Jack. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. That was a lovely intro.
Yeah, today's pod is brought to you by none other than the best Pocari Sweat, otherwise known as PS, essential for fitness and hangover cures.
The bloodline of life in Uluwatu.
So, let's begin. Who is Jack Forrester? What do you do?
No relation.
Yeah, no relation.
I am Jack Forrester. I am 186 centimetres tall and I'm Scottish. But I am a personal trainer by trade and I've worked in the fitness industry for a decade. I like to get that in there. More than a decade.
Skin in the game.
And I'm very well travelled. Hailing from Scotland, spent a little bit of time in England, a bit of time in Australia, Europe, and now find myself in the Middle East in Saudi.
How's that?
Saudi's been a great experience, very different culturally. It wasn't what I expected, having had a few trips to Dubai or Abu Dhabi. It was completely different to that, but in a good way, most of the time. The good things being like they still have strong like cultural roots. It's a very different place to live. You can try different foods, you can meet different people. It's not just full of English or Scottish or other like Westerners. The negative being the driving is absolutely insane. I've never experienced driving like it in my life. But it's been a great experience so far. Really privileged to be there.
Yeah, awesome. We'll get more into that talk a little bit later. But we're going to kick off with, tell us a little bit more about your background in coaching, whether that's where you started in sport and brought you to where you are today.
Amazing. My background in coaching definitely started from a young age. Firstly, not being good enough to advance as a pro athlete like everybody dreams of being younger. So I quickly found that out when I was 16, 17 that I wasn't going to become a professional rugby player. And at that point, I was also pretty naughty in school as well. And because of my age, I had to stay on for an extra year at school when maybe I would have just left at 16. And there was a class called Sport and Recreation. And I had a little bit of an incident in fourth year in my PE class that I didn't leave the best taste in the teacher's mouth when I finished there. So I was kind of pushed towards going to Sport and Rec rather than taking PE for another year. And what Sport and Rec was essentially was coaching. It was coaching sports, coaching different sports to kids at that time. So we learned like different coaching skills. We went to primary schools, we taught kids, which was like the perfect introduction to coaching because like how do you simplify something as much as possible so that a 7-year-old can understand it? Do you know what I mean? So you got very good at being patient, explaining things in detail, and that was the start of my coaching at that point. And I did the Sport and Rec class for a year until I was 17. I was old enough to leave school, and I was still playing rugby at that point. And the guy who was the sports development coach at the rugby club essentially just approached me. He was like, "Do you want to come on as my apprentice? Like you're obviously still going to be playing at the club. I can bring you on as the apprentice. The SRU do a 2-year vocational course, coaching and then management. You can do that." And I was like, "Mate, that sounds amazing." So I went on for 2 years to do further coaching through the SRU. We did everything to do with coaching, rugby related obviously, but any style of coaching can be boiled down to whatever you put your hand to, right? Like if you learn how to coach, you should be able to coach anything. So first it was rugby, did a lot of coaching for kids, then teenagers, then even moved into some coach education for adults. So we were essentially delivering a coaching course so that coaches could coach kids, and I got up to that point. Buggered off to Australia for a bit to play a bit of rugby, came back and then just went straight back into that rugby coaching role, and I did that until I was about 21. And then at that point I actually got made redundant because there was changes happening in the area where I was, and the cash just dried up. I think they just didn't like me anymore, but I like to tell people that the cash dried up. And then
that's a classic get out of jail card.
Made redundant, man. The cash just dried up.
Yeah.
They didn't like me, so I decided to pivot. And obviously, I was into the gym at that point because strength and conditioning had been a big part of rugby for me from 16 onwards. Mostly wanting to like bench press more, have a big chest for a tight strip and all that kind of stuff. But I loved training, so I wanted to learn more about coaching. PT was an easy option. Did a 2-month course to be a PT that was like an intensive course, turning up every day 9 till 5 at this gym, going through all the stuff, as I'm sure you guys would have done. Level 2 first, which was pants, and then level 3, which was also pants, but I gave you the golden ticket to get in the door. And I think after that I was very lucky, because we are all of a similar age, that when we got into the fitness industry, it wasn't so much about like Instagram and social media. Like, you actually had to coach and learn and actually do things and speak to people on the gym floor to get clients. Like, nobody's going on your Facebook or your Instagram at that point, many people anyway, to find a coach. So you learned those like personal skills, you learned to earn your stripes on the gym floor, you worked with random styles of people, like an old woman at 9 o'clock and then somebody who wanted to improve their performance at 11 o'clock. You did all that stuff. And I did that for 2 years, employed at the village gym, which was my first gym. Actually a good spot, it was decent, had a good experience there. But I quickly realised that working for someone, like, they always kind of had your pants down when it came to earning the money you wanted to earn. So myself and one of the other coaches had figured out the system, because they had a system where the clients would pay the gym for the PT package and you would get paid a percentage of that, but that percentage would go up based upon how much money you took that month. So there was a 4-pack, an 8-pack and a 12-pack. So we were all like, right, we just want people buying 8-packs because it's going to run out every month. So we would only tell people there was an 8-pack. There was never a 4 or a 12. So we were absolutely rolling in it at one point. And the manager, who was a friend of my uncle, he was the one that got me the job. He kind of pulled me in the office one day, and he was a lovely guy, like from the borders in Scotland and that. And he was like, listen, the management have been talking, and we're going to offer like you and Jazz a chance to be like freelancers. Basically, we know what you're doing. Do you want to be a freelancer? So you'll pay rent, and then you can just charge your clients. And at the time, I was like doing the math, and I was like, mate, 100%, I'm going to be caking it in. So I just switched it over, and then that was the start of my like self-employment. Basically, that was 2015, and I did self-employed training at that gym. I had a business called Train and Sustain. That was my business name.
Yeah.
I had that for a year, and then I got approached by this other gym in Edinburgh called Cave Fit, and it was this guy Pete. He was like in the Marines and everything, and he'd had this like warehouse set up, and it was actually like starting to like turn a few heads. It was like a circuit, but he was just very like rough and ready. He was not the type of guy that would be like over someone like, come on, 10 more. But he was motivating people, but he had a little bit more class than that, and he was doing things the right way, and he was moving. And one day he was training in the gym, and he just came over to me and he's like, mate, come down to the gym, check it out. Like, I want to like show you around and that. And when I went down there, I had a look around the place, and he'd built a mezzanine floor, and he was like, listen, I'm going to put a gym up there, and I want to start doing PT, and I want you to come and join our team. And at the time I was just like, this looks 110 times better than like the village gym I'm training at. This is like sick. We're blasting tunes, we've got everyone upstairs, the circuit's pumping downstairs. And to be honest, we just took over the fitness scene in Edinburgh at that time, in my opinion. Like, we were the only people that were doing like functional fitness, boutique style gym, good coaching, standards were high, it was class. So we smashed that for like a couple of years at Cave Fit. And we got a second place opened up, which was really bougie spot, and then we had the 2 gyms, and it was coming around to that point in my life where I'd been coaching for a long time at this point, doing the one-to-one training, driving my Audi around because I thought I was the bollocks, and I just wasn't really that happy anymore. I don't know why, but I just got to a certain point where I had everything that I wanted in Edinburgh, where I was, and wasn't really that happy. I was still playing a bit of rugby here and there, still coaching people for more hours in the week than what you would like, earning good money, but I just wasn't that happy. So at that point, came to Bali on holiday 2019, and I met a few other Aussies and stuff, and then they were talking about going to Australia, and I was like, man, I'd love to go back to Australia, because I'd been before. And I was like, how can I make this work as a coach? Because I knew the visa was going to be different and all the rest of that. And one girl, Jackie, still owe her like a lot of favours, basically, because she helped me out a lot. But she's hooked me up with the gym that she was training at in Geelong, which is a bit outside Melbourne. And I had a Zoom call with the people there, told them a bit about what I was doing, my style of training, which was like a blend of strength and conditioning, but for Gen Pop. So giving them the right structure that they needed in terms of their strength training, but also just making conditioning fun for them so they could get a bit fitter as well and not being too serious and whatnot.
Was it something like that thing they call hybrid training?
I think nowadays it's coined as hybrid training, yeah. Maybe even like they've got like a sister company called High Rocks, which is...
See, I didn't think it existed before 2023.
Mate, I could be wrong, but I think we were kind of... We were maybe the early pioneers. Kind of like the Christopher Columbus of hybrid training. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I think that's what we were.
No, fair enough, mate. You're a pioneer.
So, right, let's just put the bottom line on that. We pioneered functional fitness, hybrid training, High Rocks and hybrid training, eating steak off chopping boards and hybrid training. And then when I got to Australia, I was buzzing in Australia. These people had said, we're going to get your skilled sponsorship, going to be working at the gym, but it was a CrossFit gym. So that's when I had to start like doing more CrossFit. I hadn't done CrossFit and I felt like a fraud, to be honest, because I was relatively fit, but I was pants at everything else, like all the skills, everything like that. And I'm standing at the front of a class, coaching it, saying to members, like, because I had my coaching skills, I could pick key points out and I could explain to people what they're doing, but doing like demos and that, I was just like, man, this is hard going, like I just feel like a fraud here. So that was a part of it, like building in there. But what actually happened was the visa never really got over the line. I kept getting knocked back. They were saying like, your points aren't strong enough, this and that. So I went through a bit of a tough time, burning through cash, trying to stay in Australia, not really knowing what I was going to do with my career after I just left this, like, had everything at my disposal when I was in Scotland before.
You can tell us if it was the English test that you failed.
The English test. I am bilingual, mate, to be honest. Scottish and English. I can do both, but you're right, like my English could be a bit sharper. But yeah, just the point system nailed me because I didn't actually have that, or still don't have that many qualifications. I have fitness qualifications, but you hold that up to a visa officer and they're like, means nothing really. And I'm like, well mate, I've worked for 6 years in the fitness industry, I'm really good, like it doesn't mean anything to them. So it was really difficult, and I'm sure you guys have both had like experiences with visas and everything like that, and it can be stressful because you just, unless you have help, you don't really know like what 100% everything is. So long story short, COVID then turned up, went back to Scotland because I was at odds. They told me I could stay and I would have a bridging visa, but it just didn't really sound like the right idea. So went back to Scotland, and then that was like when Zoom training and everything kicked in, and I was never going to do that. That was horrendous.
I remember that.
You boys do a bit of Zoom training at all?
Couple of months.
Can't say
lockdown.
I did. I managed to swerve the squats of the hands together in the living room.
Dreadful. Anything like doing dips on like your dinner chair.
Yeah.
Holding 3 litre bottles of water over your head. And
I had a couple of like football clubs ask me to do it, and there's like the whole squad, they're just all in their separate living rooms doing it.
Oh, it's tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I actually like...
That's how desperate we were though at that time.
It was good in a sense that like a lot of people who weren't training started training, but at the same time, like for us, you were being reduced to that level of coaching, and it was really difficult, man. So I knew I didn't want to do that, and at the time there was a few different things happening with training. Managed to get some of my old clients back as online clients, which was the start of my online coaching stuff, and just went from there. So that built up over COVID, and I think by the time I went home in March, by the time I got to August, I was sick of Scotland again. Went over to Greece for an extended period. That was amazing. Met some cool people. Still doing the online coaching thing, trying to branch it out and grow it, having no idea what I was doing. And after Greece, I got an opportunity to go to Bristol. So that's when I came back to the UK, passed the English test that time. So I was in Bristol, and I was actually working for another business there, doing the business Starks Fitness in Bristol. Great lads. They were building an app that they wanted to launch because people were doing all this crap Zoom training. So they had an idea they were going to do this app, live training, video library, some nutrition, everything with that. So luckily, James, the guy that was in there, I was already in touch with him because he had a supplement company, and I was giving out discount codes.
I would only provide this brand on my Instagram if it's something I truly believe in.
We don't want you peddling woke nonsense on our platform.
At the time, I did believe in BCAAs, mate. Nah, I didn't really. But yeah, that was we had that connection, and woke nonsense.
Sorry, that was a spanner in the works.
The thing is,
you're on a good flow there.
So true, man. So true. But yeah,
we're going to get into pet peeves later in the pod.
Good. I got to Bristol, and then my role within the app was to write the content, film the content with like a camera crew and that. So that was a really cool experience, learning about filming, being on camera, scripting, being rubbish at it, but then practicing and doing different things, seeing what looked good, seeing what didn't. And it was a good learning curve. So I stayed there for about 2 years. And again, I think unfortunately just hit the curve at the wrong time with the app. Like, people were already going back to the gym. People were sick of Zoom training and they wanted community in person. So I just think that they were a little bit late to the party, unfortunately. And then things just started to taper off after that. So before soon enough, I was made redundant again. I give one of them again twice in the space of 10 years is not that good for the CV, but I don't tell people about that second one. Cut that part out.
You don't need a CV, mate. You work for yourself now.
Yes, that's so true. And I went back to online coaching, and at this time it was starting to be Instagram, talking about your services, and as I am now, still was pants at doing the content and the videos, but I was mostly just posting up videos of workouts, not relevant to clients at all, but I thought I was doing the best job, just showing people how I trained and all that. And from there it was a bit of a grind through the last part of my time in Bristol, trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. Being made redundant, I was living in this apartment, right, and I was spending $2,000 a month on this apartment just for the rent. I'm like, what? I just thought it was a nice apartment and I had the cash to do it, and now that I think back, it was the stupidest thing that I could have done, because as soon as I got made redundant, I'm like, oh man, I've got to pay $2,000 a month for this place and still have my life and still maintain the lifestyle I want to have, and I need to find clients, and it was just stressful, as you guys, I'm sure you've know how that goes. And I got a call about an opportunity in Saudi, and it was literally just to fill a gap for 6 months. There was another trainer who I know who was coming out to work for the family in the February, say, and I got the call 6 months prior to that, and that was all it was. It was listen, we just need somebody now to fill the gap, and 6 months, come and do it. And I was like, man, looking at the salary, looking at the opportunity, I was like, yeah, I'll do it 100%. So went over there, had an amazing first couple of months, but at the same time I was working for a family, and then I was spending a lot of time with another family who were kind of integrated or married into that family, and just became really good friends with the guys. And fortunately, when my time came to an end on that 6 months, they asked me if I would stay. Basically, they said, would you stay and work for us rather than working for the other family? And at that time I was sold. I was with Dean, and we were having such a laugh and everything. It was so good. So fortunate that they offered me that opportunity to stay on, and it's just been so good since then. It's been a whirlwind since then.
Awesome.
No, it's cool, mate. It's cool that you had the coaching as a consistent theme all the way from school, because we've talked about it before, me and Macca, that a lot of people that you see this far into the game that have been doing it for a while have actually come from another career. They've kind of followed a passion like we did. We were working in the trades, and that kind of pulled us away, made us realise that I don't actually want to be doing this, want to be following the passion that we've put so much time into before. It's not that the kind of time wasn't into it, but it kind of exposed it to us, and then we ended up transitioning over. But to hear that someone's actually ploughed all the way through, even when you had quite a few opportunities where you like you said, you got made redundant twice, probably crossed your mind to potentially do something else, I'm sure. It's cool that you carried on and kept building and kept moving forwards with it.
100%. I think there was some element of what do the experts call it, that sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
When you invest so much time into something that you don't want to give it up, you can use it in a negative light and a positive light. And I feel like I did use it as a positive, but sometimes blindly, just being well, I've already done all this stuff. And fortunately and unfortunately, I had nothing else to fall back on, because I was rubbish at school. So I literally just had to commit to this one thing. And I also remember my parents, when I told them I was going to be a PT and I was going to run my own business and everything, they both worked for companies and done pretty well. They were hard workers. They turned up and grafted for 30 years in the same business or whatever. But me turning around to someone who's done that all their life and saying, I'm going to be self-employed, I'm going to run my own business, they were obviously a bit worried to be how's that going to work out? So there was a little bit inside me where I was just trying to prove a point as well, to basically be nah, I can't show face that this didn't work. I have to make this work, basically, and that was in there as well.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, hasn't it? From even my parents were the same. Like my dad was at the same company for forever, and my mum was in the same job for like 20 years or whatever
It's
it was.
mad, isn't it?
And then telling them you're gonna. Oh, when I left school, I didn't even do anything. I was playing football for 2 years. Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, yeah, I should probably get a job and do something with my life. When I realised I was shit at football. But yeah, like because you've been in the industry so long, that's obviously got you to where you are now. That's also probably given you, you've gone through like all those different cycles in the fitness industry. I'm just going to give you one question first. What do people actually need?
Knowing what I know now, which is more important than obviously everything that I've learned up until this point, I believe that people just need to have the mindset that they're trying to progress or maintain their muscle mass, and use fitness as a fun tool on the side to manage their energy intake if they're looking at changing their body composition, and continuously improve their fitness for their health and longevity, but to also uphold that strength training as well. I think that most people don't give strength training and hypertrophy enough love or enough intent, because I think that holds everything else up. So if people could put more priority into that, they could then pivot off and run better. They could pivot off and lose body fat. They could pivot off and do a sport. I think that should be the cornerstone of what everybody does long term. And obviously it looks very different as you age and as you get older, as you do a sport, but it should still be the foundation of what you're doing as a training program.
Yeah, awesome. Just looking at some of your background, you've obviously worked with a lot of different people and a lot of different coaches. What have you found most valuable, or what have you taken from people that you still use to this day?
Yeah, there's been a lot of trash in there and a lot of good stuff, but I think to this day, one thing that I'll always remember, and it's a guy who I was actually in contact with again recently, I treat him as a bit of a mentor, a bit of a guide. There was one point in my fitness coaching career where I went and did a mentorship at a gym down in Nottingham, and it was at that time it was heavily geared towards body composition, transformation style training, and we went there and we got put into these groups with the 3 coaches who were the coaches at that gym, very knowledgeable guys, some of the most knowledgeable guys I've ever met, to be honest. But this guy Dan, who was my leader in the group, he said one thing to me, and he said that as a coach you need to be a chameleon, and you need to adapt to different rooms and different people, and you need to be able to deliver a message to lots of different types of people. And I think from a coaching perspective, that for me has been one of the most important things that I learned, because we all coach people the same basics, and a lot of the people that we meet, if you're not like a high performance coach, they just need to know the basics. They need to know how to execute a movement. They need to know how to put intent into a movement when the time's right. But if you can't deliver that information to them because you don't know how to speak to that person, you don't know how to assess how they learn, how they speak, what kind of language they're gonna be kind of like adaptable to or whatnot. I think if you can't nail that, you could be the best coach in the world, but everything's stuck inside you rather than getting into their head. So I think that's probably one of the most important things that I learned.
Yeah. That leads on nicely to the next question I had for you. It's like, is it okay to change your perspective over time? Me and Az were talking earlier. There was a conversation with some highly regarded coaches in the industry, highly regarded. One of them named Mike Boyle, who I actually took quite a lot of stuff from when I was younger in the industry. But there's a bit of scaremongering about how bad a back squat is for you. And I think coaches get kind of beat down and into that like dogmatic approach of this is how you should do something, and then they just say for example you learn how to do something at that village gym one way and you just never change your perspective over time. That's kind of where the fitness industry still is with some people. So yeah, how do you feel about changing your...
I know where you're going with that, and I agree with the path that you're going down, and I think that if you as a coach spend any length of time in the fitness industry and you don't look back at what you were doing in the earlier days and think, what the hell was I doing? Like, you're in the wrong tracks, basically. I think that because there is no right answer, which is the most frustrating thing in fitness, right? There is some things that are clear-cut science and all the rest of that, but a lot of stuff is a grey area. You answer most questions with, it depends. Mm-hmm. So if you're not continuously learning, researching, trying things, taking something from there, putting it into there, seeing if it works, constantly adapting, you're not going to be staying up to date. You're not going to be given the best advice or service you could give to someone. It just doesn't work if you just stay pigeonholed in one lane, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think as you develop more as a coach, you find yourself dying on less hills, having more of an understanding that, okay, that might not be something that I would personally use, but it does have relevance. But then at the same time, I think it's kind of propped up a little bit by social media as well, in that people are trying to be polarizing, and then it becomes their entire philosophy to be polarizing, and it becomes their religion that, for example, back squats are a crime against humanity, and they're going to cripple you and have you not being able to walk, etc. And like a coach that comes out with things like that, you would think that they would have the nuance to understand that in certain points, in certain situations, it's going to be completely relevant to say what you're saying, because sometimes it's not always like complete crap that they're spouting. Like, sometimes it does come from a point of education or evidence, but they just take a point and run with it, and it becomes this kind of all-encompassing philosophy that no one can.
Just based on controversy.
Yeah, they can't shake it, and then anyone that does anything different is therefore automatically wrong by default, and that's when we get into these conflicts in the fitness industry. Yeah. I think
I have a hard time in the online coaching scene, trying to get my message out there, trying to appeal to certain people who would be clients, and the word that always comes into the conversation that I hate, but I loathe it almost, is niche. And this is the thing that's probably, we've got all these business mentors and everything out there now, and most of them are just telling people, oh, you need a niche, you need to be more niche. And I think that is where a lot of that like polarizing stuff comes from. Is like, right, well, I'm going to create a niche, and I'm going to create a niche based upon these points, and I'm going to be the only coach that's doing these points, and people are going to be attracted to that, so I'm going to be different, I'm going to be shiny. And I agree with you. I think it's chronic, man. I think like all of the information is for a client need to know, and us as coaches need to know a vast amount of it, but we need to know when to take that information, like you said, and say, right, I've just started working with this person, a back squat's probably not going to be that great for them, but there's other things that we can do. But the person that I'm speaking to next, a back squat's going to be fantastic for them because they can do it correctly, or their mechanics are a little bit better or whatnot. So I'm not going to do the same message to them. I'm going to just tweak their program so it's relative to that person. Yeah. Like, make that your niche.
Wait.
A personal favourite just on niche is currently fitness for lesbians. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that was great, isn't it? So good.
If you're a lesbian and you're not doing these 3 lower body exercises, I'm glad I know that, actually. Yeah. I'll share that with my lesbian.
You remembered it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was polarising.
One thing me and Sam, another friend of the pod, we always say at work is like, how do you explain the exercise like to your mum? Do you know what I mean? Or like your mum, your dad.
She's not a lesbian. For
she's not a lesbian. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, how would you explain it to them in those simple terms? And like you said, you have that background when you started, when you were just working, like coaching with younger like kids and children. And like, yeah, you have to take simple things to give to them to take away. And adults, unfortunately, need the same thing.
So true. I think like that is, I actually said this to somebody in the last couple of days, that the older I get as a coach, and hopefully the wiser, I actually give people less, because it's like you said, it is polarising, it is confusing. But if you can just deliver simple information, why would you not try and get the message across in the most simplest form that's easiest to understand, rather than trying to sound like you're like some kind of like expert and you're going with these fancy words or this demonstration or that movement that's really complicated. Like, get the job done with the minimum effective dose and let the person just like do the movement, enjoy it, and correct it only when you're needed. Like, why not just have that approach? It's like, so it must be so refreshing for a client to not be overwhelmed even more by all these like terminology, different drills, this and that. Just do the simple stuff, let them learn it, and then build very small increments on top of that.
It's almost like the coaches that don't do that are allowing their content strategy to bleed into their coaching, like philosophy and protocol, because they're just carrying one over from the other and trying to over deliver on technical principles and stuff that might not even be rooted in sound knowledge, and just say, here you go, have that. It must be good because you've got loads of information.
Just keeping people on a leash as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to see the same person for 4 years.
Yeah.
I just want to help you be able to do it on your own, and then you can go and help someone else do it as 100%. Well.
100%. You're almost like crippling that person with the information, right? You're holding them back, because without you, what do? They're used to having all of this information to the minute in the session plan, like how they tie their shoes, how they fill their water bottle up between sets, like what happens when you leave, and then they're just stranded. They're like, oh, like I used to just basically look at my phone and I had a minute by minute, like step by step guide through the session, or like you said, like all these extensive coaches notes. To some people it's great. Like I followed the CrossFit program, No Shortcuts. I went and joined their program months ago, and I really like the guy who's the guy who programs it. Love his like analytical side and the technicalities and how structured the training is and everything. But I honestly felt just like overwhelmed with, like, when I clicked into that session plan, the sessions were unreal, they were good for me, but the extensive notes and the everything, the details and that, I almost just thought, like, I can't be arsed to open this up tomorrow. Like, I just can't be arsed. I don't even want to do it.
Just want to train.
And I think, like, I just want to train. And there's obviously there is people out there that are going to enjoy that level of detail, but I don't think there's many of them. And like you were saying, I think that a lot of coaches just pad out what they're doing with that stuff, because they probably have, like most of us, imposter syndrome. They probably don't really feel their worth to be charging what they're charging, or they feel a need to keep up with what they think other people are doing. So they layer in all this stuff and they try and pack in as much value as possible to merit the cost, or to keep someone on board for longer, like you were saying, hook them in. It's just not necessary, man.
Yeah. Moving on, let's get into some more fun stuff.
Yes.
So scaremongering in the fitness industry. What's some of the best stuff you've heard? We've had barbell back squat that is going to end your life. What else?
Barbell back squat ending your life. I think in the fit industry, scaremongering. I'm loving the current trend at the moment. The mouth taping and the nose taping. I actually know the science behind the mouth taping and the nose taping. Another lockdown course that I did a breathing mechanics course with this company called the Oxygen Advantage, and we studied everything: breathing mechanics, breathing biomechanics, breathing cadence, the rate at which you breathe, and biochemistry. So like what actually happens with the oxygen and the CO2 and everything. And one part of it was sleep apnea, over breathing carbon dioxide when you sleep, almost suffocating yourself, because when you have oxygen in your blood, it can be released in the presence of enough carbon dioxide. But if you're over breathing that carbon dioxide, the red blood cells essentially hold on to the oxygen, so you're suffocating yourself. That concept. But the amount of people now that you see, and they're literally like telling people like, you can't breathe. You're breathing, like you literally can't breathe. You can't sleep. You can't do anything unless you tape your mouth off and put this thing on your nose. I'm like, mate, it's unbelievable. Anything to sell something. Yeah.
You've been breathing since birth, but you can't breathe now. Do you know what I mean?
You've been on John's Earth since like however old you are, but like, listen, tomorrow it's all over.
It's all over, mate. Unless you put that tape on.
Unless you follow this Shopify link.
Yeah.
And use code Jack Forrester.
Jack Forrester 10.
Yeah.
That was the beauty of those codes, eh? Like you were putting up a 10% discount, and people are buying something that's maybe like 30 quid, so they're getting £3 off. And you're like selling it as if it's like going to turn you into like a millionaire overnight and stuff. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, still very apparent, or still in the fitness industry a lot, isn't it? People with the discount codes and.
I think there's a little bit of people moving away from it. I think it's kind of. I think when the Love Island era picked up, firstly, that was like affiliate code central, wasn't it? And shortly after, when they started transitioning into the products, their own products or their own programs, as bad as it was, I think that was kind of a general trend for a lot of people trying to peddle their own thing. Obviously, you got it from both angles, haven't you? Affiliates and crap programs equally, but there's been a bit of a drift.
One thing I love, like the progression of that, like advertising, if you like, is it always just started with like an unboxing of the products, and you're looking surprised when you're taking stuff out of the box, and then it would just be like your like tag at the bottom or something. But I saw one recently, and it's this woman who's like an OG like bodybuilder, like bikini model, Paige Hathaway. You heard of her?
Yeah.
She posted up a video. I think one of the guys, like Zach Talander or something, like reposted it, like hammering her. But she had done like a new age version of the discount code where she was incorporating like a video of like what was happening in her life to then obviously bring the product in. And she was talking about her house burning down. The house burning down. She's like giving this like sad story.
If the product wasn't a fire extinguisher, I would be fuming.
She's talking about her house burning down, and then like the last part of the video, she just walks over to the sink and just fills up her protein shake, and she puts the tub down, and she's like, "But you can still get my protein for like 10% off." I was like, mate, these people have lost their mind.
Lost it.
Survived the blaze, but not the.
So
never got the way. The way survived.
The surprise unboxing's good. I don't know. The more cringe one is like after they've taken a sip.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
just staying in there for a second.
It's turning into like real product placement, isn't it? Not that we can talk with Pocari Sweat on the table here, but like in a movie or something where you just see like a perfectly in focus Pepsi label, and you're like, oh yeah, nice one. This is.
And we laugh about that as well in a movie. Like now, I think knowing obviously what we've probably tried to do ourselves at times or whatever, get a product, and when you see it in like Hollywood and that, you actually laugh and you're like, oh, Red Bull or like whatever it is like in there. But people are still like doing it, like they're doing like their workout and they've just got like a shaker just like at the front next to the rower. And
there's no shame. There's no shame.
But, like,
the thing I love is like you know the brand Castor.
Yeah.
At the minute they're like trying to get products out to people.
Yeah.
And it's like
I got a message from them as well.
I had a really bad experience.
Mate, it's like every couple of days you see someone who's like clucking for a brand deal. They're like, oh, Castor sent me this new t-shirt, like here's like
all folded up on the bed, like taking a picture of it all. But to be honest, when I was in Bristol, I was the same, and I got like the same message, and they're like, oh, we want to send you some stuff. They sent it out, and they organised like a workout, CrossFit Putney, like a meetup, and I think like luckily I had something else on, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to make the workout. They didn't even show up, mate. They organised this like influencer workout, and they didn't even turn up. There was people that actually turned up there to be like, oh, we're going to do the event, and they just didn't even bother like turning up. It's just like some of these people in the industry is like they want to be like doing these things, but like they just don't even follow through on that stuff. And it's just like as lazy as like, oh, we'll just send out a few pairs of shorts and t-shirts to like anybody who will take it, and that'll be enough. It's like people can see through it a mile off nowadays. But you're right, there is people who are just, they're desperate for anything, any bit of free kit. Like I remember being like that when I was like 17 at rugby. Like, you're going to get new rugby stash. I'm like, yes, we're getting vests. We're getting vests and we're getting hoodies, like buzzing. But I was like, man, that's 10 years ago nearly. Like, come on, like grow up a little bit.
Cool, we're going to go. What are your biggest pet peeves in the fitness industry?
My biggest pet peeves
other than discount codes.
Discount codes. I can't even use that one, to be fair, because I'd done it a long time ago. But my biggest pet peeve in the fitness industry has got to be something like, I think it's just people trying to reinvent the wheel now. Like social media and that's so big. Like people trying to reinvent the wheel. Like you said, people trying to be like polarizing, being different. And I'm like, mate, we just need to just do the basic stuff well. And there will be the right client that can go a level or two above that, but you do that for them, like personally. You don't need to try and create this new style of training or tell people that they can only do this one thing or only do this one. That's for me is like the biggest pet peeve. Outside of that, I would probably just say just people that are going outside of their lane. Like there's a time and a place for progressing, and we're not all experts and we all have to learn something, but do your due diligence, earn your stripes before you then go and start punting what you're going to be talking about. Like really know and practice and learn what you're going to be talking about before you jump on. And like Hyrox is a perfect example, right?
Yeah, but I came second, so now I can.
In your age group. In your age group.
Oh, this is one of my biggest pet peeves.
And
So
you
there's
did
like
your high rocks
1,000
in
people,
Timbuktu.
and they're like, "Yeah, I came first." I'm like, "What age category?"
Nah, the
And
worst
they're like,
one.
"Oh no, age group." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You didn't come first then."
When people are posting up on their stories being like, came fifth in the burpees. I'm like, mate, it's a running race.
Yeah.
Like you just get scored on that one.
I had
section.
this exact conversation with someone the
But
other day.
this is
The
like-
age group thing is a joke, isn't it?
This is the pet peeve then. And it's like people like going outside your lane, but in this context of like, right, someone is a PT and they've not quite found their groove yet, but they've just gone and done a high rocks. So now they're a high rocks coach. They're teaching
Niche.
people, niche. But this event is just running. So technically, if you train, you would get a better high rocks time from getting a running coach, because it's a running race. You can still do all the other stuff because it's minimal. But the fact that there's people in there, and there is people that are doing it well, and they're going into depth about like energy systems. They're going into depth about like different kinds of like I love this term, I hate it but I love it, compromised running, like different compromised running, or like, any kind of running's compromised. Like if you're in a hot room, then you go into a cold room, or like compromised, turn the lights off, compromised. Just running. But when people are turning into these like so-called like high rocks coaches,
Master trainers.
trainers, imagine a master trainer. None of them are master trainers anymore. They've all been found out. They're like just programming like the stations.
The master trainers have left High Rocks now. I don't know if you know, because they're
opening up a simulation
they
gym
got
down the road.
they got their affiliation disbanded.
But it's literally just that. It's like, right, well, this race it's just fitness with a base of strength and more emphasis on running. So you can't just call yourself a high rocks coach and just tell people to do burpees, farmers carries, row, ski, like the stations.
Are you trying to say it's just strength and conditioning?
It's just strength and conditioning, mate. And
Sounds a lot like hybrid training to me.
I wouldn't want to say exactly hybrid training, but it's close, isn't it? It's a cousin of.
Yeah, it's in some of the same ancestry.
But yeah, people that like stay in your lane, man. Like just become a better trainer, personal trainer, online coach, whatever you want to be. Just become a better one of them, rather than going out of your lane and trying to be like, right, I'm going to create a new lane, which is like, I'm the high rocks coach. Like, come on, man, you're not better than that yet. But
yeah. I think piggybacking on the pet peeve thing, relating to high rocks as well, is people overselling the like how difficult it is and like the obstacles they've overcome to get here, and they're overlaying on their Instagram reels like Viking fucking war chants and stuff, and he's pushing people out of the way. He's got his hair
that was
braided.
Cardiff,
He's
wasn't
from
it?
Doncaster or something. Oh my god, mate! Like, yeah, it's a hard thing. Congrats for doing it, but you've not been to war.
Men used to go to war.
Yeah, men used to go to war. That sums it up perfectly. You're still going to go home and have a cheeky Nando's and a fucking.
When you boil it down, though, mate, like you're exercising for 75. Well, between 60 or less than 60 if you're very good. But most of us are like an hour to an hour and 15 of rigorous exercise. And that's all it is. Like you've done training sessions to that level before, I'm sure. Like silly sessions down the gym with a few mates that just got carried away and like you're blasting ergs, doing lifting weights, whatever. Like that is the same stimulus as what a high rocks race is. There's just a little bit more specificity to what you're doing on the day. So it's not this like groundbreaking thing that you need to be like peaking for, or like the heartfelt apologies when you don't get your time.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
You're not going to
It just wasn't my day.
The hotel didn't have oats for breakfast.
They are so good.
That's quite funny. There's obviously Marbella Championship was just over the weekend, and I saw a few memes floating about saying that someone's completely sandbagged the competition when they start the Instagram caption with "I'm so proud."
That was the only thing you've got.
If you're shit, mate, just say.
Oh man,
I'll be ready to dish out one of them as well.
Now that they're all coming out now. But another pet peeve is mostly coaches, but also like people who are just like really into training, and they go and do some of these competitions and that, but call themselves athletes. Like, I'm an athlete, I'm going to this comp, and it's like this and that. It's like a big show and dance. It's like, mate, like to me, again, this is just my opinion, but to me, an athlete is someone who is employed to do a sport or a form of like fitness. Like your profession is to be the fittest version of yourself you can be to compete in a race, a sport, a discipline. You can call yourself an athlete. If you're just a coach down the gym and you happen to be doing a CrossFit comp that you might win 50 quid for turning up or for getting on the podium, like, you're not an athlete.
Yeah.
Just because you train 5 times a week and drink protein shakes and electrolytes, like, you're not an athlete.
It definitely doesn't happen as much in CrossFit. Like, people think they're, like, in CrossFit, the athletes are the CrossFit athletes that go to the games.
Yeah.
In High Rocks, apparently you're an athlete.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just
It
Especially
probably
if
just
you-
hasn't had that time to disperse.
Yeah.
I think the reason why that happens in other sports is because sometimes people will come across actual athletes and they get humbled, but there's almost like not that spread of like actual elite high roxers, just because it's so new and there isn't that many of them, so it doesn't bleed
they're all a
into
bit cringe as well, so they don't get bullied.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
that's it,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to
Themselves
shit
an
on
athlete.
like anyone's aspirations as well, because there is going to be people out there that they
Mate,
do.
if you're going to do it, this is the place to
This
do
is
it.
it. Right? I'm going to shit on people, you know, but like, you're going to have aspirations to become an elite 15 high rocks runner or a CrossFit or whatever, but just like as we were saying, just stay in your lane until you get there. Like, don't have to be going around claiming you're this kind of athlete, and like you can live it from your training and from the work that you put into your training. You don't have to go around like telling people that you're this athlete or making it look like a big song and a dance every time you do something. You just train, still have a job in that, but until you get to that point where you are like got the stamp, like you're in there,
Yeah.
just chill a little bit.
You know, like the nose and mouth taping thing, and then people going around telling them that like you can't breathe or whatever. One of my pet peeves is people that bring stuff into the industry and then people are just so gullible they just go along with it. So I don't know if you've seen the gardening glove thing for
the
pull-ups
skier.
and the ski.
Oh no.
So there was like some guy and he put like best way to improve your pull-ups, and he's wearing gardening gloves because you know they got like the grip on the old. And I shit you not, I've seen 2 people wearing them in the gym,
I
like
actually,
full on
I used to
spin
get
down
the-
Bunnings in spin down Bunnings got a hot dog and a pair of gloves, and they've gone
I
to
don't know
the-
if you was like in rugby days or whatever. Did you ever wear gloves when you played rugby?
Oh yeah, when I was like
young
12,
level?
yeah, 12
They were
years old.
useless, mate.
Yeah,
as soon as they got
terrible.
a bit wet. But I actually like, because I used to be opinionated about gloves, and if my clients ever like, oh, should I wear gloves, I would always very sharp to be like, no gloves. But I'm sure I read somewhere that it actually gives less grip because of the friction between the glove and your hand. It's like, I don't know the exact like reason why, but apparently it's worse. So like, get the gloves off, man.
The gloves are off.
Mate, it's mental.
We were touching on a similar topic of kind of people calling out your bullshit, and that being quite a prominent part of team sport, and how we were quite grateful that we had that, because like what you're saying, you can do the work to get to a certain place, but you can still have the humility to like laugh about your own downfall as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that, coming from a team sport background as well for yourself, you probably got a good amount of that
100%. I
playing
think that
rugby.
there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe haven't had that experience, or maybe like the youngsters coming through, they don't do the same thing in team sports as what it was like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, when if you said one wrong thing, you were getting teared to shreds by everyone around you, and that was just how it was. So you were cautious about what you said, how you said it, the information you were putting out, because you knew you were going to get like a hide-in if you said the wrong thing. But maybe more people on the internet need to have that experience, because they've got that blind bliss of just like, they're not going to get called out on their bullshit, and they're just going to say stuff because they in that moment think that it's the right thing to say, rather than having that like low level like worry of like, I still do it when I'm putting a video out. I'm like nervous when I'm posting it. I'm like, someone's going to comment on this and just come at me, so I'm like already prepping all my answers to be that's fact checked. What am I going to come back with it? What's his mum's name? She's getting slaughtered. I'm ready. Like, if I post up a video and you comment on it, like, I'm probably fighting fire with fire.
Saved replies on Instagram.
Your mum.
I
Your mum.
always see your video, then I'll just put something underneath it that we've kind of discussed then, and I'll see he's either already commented or has come straight after.
But you love
put up like some real key information on nutrition, and I'll just like
Blast
complete
it. But that's part of the fitness industry that like you guys as well, like I love it, man. It's just like that banter amongst like people who have like we're in the same industry, we have the same struggles, we have the same like enjoyments, the same likes, dislikes, and just being able to just throw a little bit of shade back and forward, and like people should just like learn to love it a bit more, eh? Like I said, people are just too uptight, too soft. Like I love giving out a good slagging, but you have to be able to take it back. Like even if you take it back a bit sour, and then you come back later on, and like, that was pretty good. Like,
Yeah. So
People-
good.
Another thing we've been speaking about recently is shit talking within the, like, well, coaching as well, but like functional fitness, high rocks, CrossFit. It's it makes for a good time, and for people to take themselves slightly less seriously is an all-round slightly better outcome, I think. Because some of these people that, like you say, take things way too seriously, it's just should be curtains for them, really.
Yeah, I think there is room for that, especially in these like sports like CrossFit and stuff. That there needs to be a little bit more like behind the scenes from the people that are doing it to like make it more of like an enjoying thing to not just watch the competitions but be invested in like what the athletes are and what the people are doing. But like you said, like having that little bit of competition. I've seen a few of the CrossFit guys like giving each other a bit of like back and forth.
It's getting better for
it's
sure.
It's great,
yeah.
like videos or like call outs and like just ripping into each other. It just shows you that they're human beings, and like you said, they're not taking it 100% serious. They're there to do a job, but they're also like having a bit of banter. And see, when you've got a little bit of something behind you as well, if you had said something to me before a workout and I'm like, man, I'm going to roast you in this workout now, like give something extra. It's not just about just like being there to win at the end. Like you've got a little bit extra in the tank.
Yeah, so good. A little bit of needle. I think we're going to wrap things up there. Just on the subject of, if anyone does have any negative comments they want to throw at us in the podcast, we don't care, so please don't post them.
Make sure your family's names aren't visible on social media.
And if you do post anything, Jack's already got his answers ready. So,
and if we really don't like it, we'll report you to the thought police.
But a pleasure.
We'll
Thank
get your
you,
digital
Jack.
ID.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, boys. It was,
thank you, mate.
Brilliant.
Awesome. And we'll see you on the next pod.
No, absolutely.
Sick.
Let's go.
Nice, mate.
Good job.
Cheers, mate.
Woo.
Sweaty palm there from me.
That was all good.